Good morning, everybody. Before this time is over, we will have a book available to you that Bishop and I have thrown together. It's called Rechurch. Rechurch simply encourages us to look at how church is, where it's been, and where it needs to go. Now, I travel all over the country, and people keep talking about God's doing a new thing, a new thing, a new thing, but ain't nobody doing anything new. Now, it could be that you are doing a few things, we are tweaking a few things, but to say that we're radically doing something new, you just have to think about that for a minute. Give you an example. If you went to any church this coming Sunday, any church, I don't care if you went to a Baptist church, you went to a full gospel church, you went to a half gospel church, you went to Episcopalian, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Methodist. It doesn't matter which kind of church you go to. So basically, this is what's going to happen. Here are the elements. There's going to be some kind of praise and worship, some kind of music, some kind of processional, some kind of a chanting. But there'll be, so there'll be some kind of that, right? Then after that, there'll be some kind of prayer, meditation, responsive, liturgy, humming, moment of silence. There'll be something like that, right? Then after that, there'll be announcements, a total waste of time. Nobody's listening to announcements. Don't care if you sing about them, dance about them, PowerPoint them. And nobody remembers. It's like they're still going to call, at 9 or 9:30? So that's announcements. Then after that, we do the offering, receive the money, where we shake people down. That's what happens in church. When they come in, you shake them in. During the sermon, you shake them up. During the offering, you shake them down. After the service, you shake them out. So there's a whole lot of shaking going on. So that something like that will happen. And then after that, there'll be some kind of a sermon, message, homily, speech, meditation, and then after that, there'll be some kind of conclusion. We're going to go home. Am I in your church yet? And now I know you might receive the offering at the end, the beginning, but basically those are 5, 6 elements of the. So when we talk about doing church in a new way, that's not what we are talking about. We're talking about thinking in a new way. And before Bishop comes down, he's asked me to just kind of give you some bullet points in a very pragmatic way, because the book is going to talk about how to think differently. What I want to do is very quickly give you some pragmatic points as to what might already be happening in your church and what is right around the corner for you. So if you're ready, here we go. Number 1, the clash between your staff and your volunteers. The clash between your staff and your volunteers. Because I'm here to tell you, your staff are gatekeepers. Your volunteers are gate openers. Your volunteers don't care who's got the title and who gets the credit. Your staff does. Your staff has something to protect. That's why there's so much drama in most churches. Somebody says, what's the largest ministry in the church? The largest ministry in the church is the drama ministry. And so what is happening is that here I can describe your church to you. The new people who are coming in don't care for titles. They're not looking for reserved seating. They're not looking for the name in the marquee. They're not looking for the name to be announced on the pulpit. They're just saying, Pastor, what do you want me to do? I'm here. I'm here to serve. But the people who supervise them, and the people who run them, and the people who authorize them, and the people who are over them for accountability are your staff. And the clash between your staff and your volunteers is going to continue to increase. And if you're not careful, your staff will kill your volunteers. Because the volunteers, in most cases, are at a higher thinking capacity than your staff. No eagle wants a turkey to be their leader. And they're going to push as hard as they can, as fast as they can, and after a while, if you don't do anything with the turkey, the eagle is going to fly away somewhere. So who are you placing in charge in the clash between your volunteers and your staff? The second one, and they're no particular order. I'm just giving you random things. You have a new group that's going to continue to grow, which we call non-member non-member regular attendees. I want you to get that. Non-member regular attendees. My guess is, how many of you are senior pastors here? Can I see your hands, senior pastors? Can I see your hands? Okay. My guess is all of you have people coming to your churches who are non-members, regular attendees, been coming for a while. You've opened the doors to your church 100 times, and they ain't coming. True? I'm here to announce to you, and they don't plan to come either. So what's the implications for the church? The implications for the church is we go looking for our high-end leaders among which category? Members. But your higher-end category is the increasing category, which is the non-member regular attendee. No, ain't nobody else talking about this. I'm the only one going around the country saying this is happening. Isn't it happening in your church? And let me tell you the profile of the non-members. The profile of the non-members is they are highly resourced, greatly passionate. They are what I call your low-maintenance people. They are not looking for a bailout. They're not looking for counseling. The marriage is fine. The kids are doing okay. They got jobs. They give more than your members. They're more faithful than your members. They show up more often for services than your members. So the implication of that is, how do you restructure your church to include and pull in the non-member regular attendees into leadership? So you have two pools that you're drawing from. I'm taking extra few seconds on this one. You got two pools you can fish from in your church. One is the member pool, and the other is the non-member regular attendee. I'm not a prophet, but I have a suspicion. And that is that your non-member regular attendee category is going to continue to grow. And therefore, your pool of potential leaders is going to be in that category. So if your bylaws, for example, restrict people to get to a certain level of leadership, you've got to figure out how far can a leader go in your church without being a member. And so when you get into bylaw changes, you're looking for a church split, but that's how it comes down. So people much rather work with bylaws than with Bible. But that's a growing phenomenon. It's going to continue to grow. It's not going away. You can keep opening your doors, keep looking at them, keep prophesying over them. They ain't coming. They are not going to sign. That's a new demographic. Does that make sense to you all? Are you all seeing that in your churches? A third one is, how do we pool our resources to do more in difficult times? For example, innovative staffing. Innovative staffing would say, you got a staff person, I got a staff person, why don't we share that staff person? Why don't we outsource together? Why don't we buy together? Because how can we contract somebody to be on staff rather than have them on staff? Because when you contract somebody, now you can just not renew their contract. You don't have the drama of firing a church person. Because, you fire a church person, what are they going to do? They're going to get mad and leave and take 18 others with them, tell all kinds of lies about you. So more and more churches are going to contract services. You save on space, you save on equipment, you save on benefits, and they get paid when they deliver their jobs. But the other flip side of that is, how can 2 churches or 3 churches share staff? How can we get people to work together who are shared in different areas? Now that's new thinking, because we want everyone to be ours. So let's just say your video people. Can they do video for church A and church B? Now, if you are at a place where you just need them for 80 hours a week, that's another thing. But I'm here to tell you that most people can do more with less if presented with that challenge. So how do you stretch your dollars and your resources with what we call innovative staffing? The next one is what I call pain threshold. Pain threshold. Pain threshold. Here's what I want you to hear me say about that. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. Let me use Pastor Jesse Kearney. I've known him since 1989, so we go way back. I'm a pastor's son. I was born and raised in a church. So church is all I know. I'm 56 now, so church, I've been around church all my life. We know that 10% of your church attendees are just devils. You know who they are? They are demons. They are there to keep your prayer life going. My guess is you can make a list of them right now. So if you got a church of 100, how many devils do you have? Okay. When you started, how many people did you start with? 118. So he had about 10. On an average Sunday, how many people you see now? About 4,000. So 10% of 4,000 is what? That's the difference. The difference is how many devils can you handle? And while we are all laughing at it, that is the ultimate truth. Some of the greatest preachers in our country are not in large churches. Some of the greatest preachers in our country are in storefronts. I mean, they can preach the paneling down and put it back up. If you know what I mean. I mean, these people can bring it home. They don't even have a B3. But they can tune in and out. They can do it all. But the biggest difference between storefront pastor and large church pastor is not their ability to preach. It's not their ability to administrate, because you can hire administrators. It is how much pain can you handle. Ezekiel said it this way. He said, if you can't run with the footmen, if you can't run with 10 devils, how are you going to run with the horses and chariots when you got 400? Now, probably your church is an exception. You have no devils at your church. But commonly speaking. So the challenge is, how do I keep growing my threshold? Because as soon as you back off from your pain, that's a new way of thinking. It's saying, okay, I'm in the middle of this pain. If I can grow in this pain, then God can trust me with more people. And not back off from the pain threshold. How about vision versus culture? Vision versus culture. There were things I used to teach that I wish I could take back. Can I ask you pastors and you preachers a question? Are there some sermons from way back then you wish you could go back and destroy? I have preached so much heresy in my life. I have made up scriptures that weren't even in the Bible. But I learned, as long as you do it in King James Version, people don't know and don't care. So I made up Greek and Hebrew. In the Greek it says this, but sounded good at that time. And I used to say that vision is the most important thing. I want to recant that. I'm here to say to you that the best vision in a toxic culture is going to die. So what is culture? Culture is simply, how do you do things over here? If I was to come and sit down with your church leaders and ask them one simple question, how do you pass a bill in Congress at this church? They'll tell me. Because see, some of the power brokers in your church don't sit on any boards. Some of the power brokers in your church have no big name attached to them, but everybody knows you got to go through her. Because behind him is always a her. And what happens is that we pay a lot of attention to vision. I'm here to say to you, what is the culture of your church? Because a toxic culture will eat vision for lunch every day. So you can have the best vision in the house, but culture is something that you have to create. Because culture is caught, not taught. Every place has its own culture. Example. If I was a cashier at Kmart for 25 years, you know, I'm the one with that little keychain around my wrist, you know what I'm talking about? You know, the one who goes, does all that. Okay, so I'm the 25 years cashier at Kmart, and now I get a job at Walmart. Across the street, get a job at Walmart. Is Walmart going to put me on the job day one? No, because they want me to unlearn the Kmart way culture and learn the... So why is it that we bring a praise and worship leader in our church and put them up right away? Because if you don't enculturate them, they can become toxic. Because they're going to bring church A's culture into your church. And your church has its own culture. How do you stop that? And you do that by making sure that they can enculturate it. Debriefed, deprogrammed, and reprogrammed. One of the things that we're going to talk about in our book is stewardship. How do you reframe tithes and offerings? Because tithes and people are more cause-driven now than tithe and offering-driven. Bishop Long and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, in which we saw, even in our political fundraising in the previous election, how people gave to causes rather than obligations. So what are the big causes that you are allowing people to be a part of at your church, rather than beating them over the head with the same stick, which is not getting any results? Especially in our economy right now, while everybody is giving up on causes, I want you to encourage you to take up some causes. Take up manageable causes. I mean, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Take manageable causes, but take causes that people can be encouraged by, challenged by, and even be encouraged to sow into others' lives. Let me just give you 2, 3 more, and then Bishop Long is going to come and take it from here. One of the things I'm noticing is, because of the downturn in economy, there are a lot of for-profit corporate executives who are looking for jobs. Panasonic announced this morning they're going to let go 17,000 employees worldwide. And this is a runaway downhill train. So many corporate executives will become available to the church staff. And while you might say, you know, I got this banker, you know, they downsized, and I got this banker, and he can come and be my CFO, that might be the best thing or the worst thing. Because it goes back to culture. Because bankers, for example, are used to working within regulations, policies, procedures, and no faith is needed. And so unless they understand the church world and the nonprofit thinking, there'll be that constant clash between fact and faith. And so while there are opportunities for you, I would say to you the more important thing is to make sure that they understand the culture of the house rather than the stuff that they bring with them. Let's give you 2 more. Unplanned. You have unplanned disruptions and unplanned opportunities. Things that you were working on are disrupted right now, correct? But things that were not on your radar, opportunities are everywhere. So and this cycle will continue for a few years. And I'm not talking about doom and gloom economics here. I'm just talking about this cycle of rethinking going to continue for a number of years. So as we re-church, we have to see how married are we to the plan and how open are we to new opportunities. Because everyone sitting around these tables knows that you have more opportunities today, even in the economic area, than you've ever had before. However, if you're still stuck with completing the plan, these opportunities will go away, and your plan will not work either. So how do you make adjustments? And so that goes along with it. People who are nimble on their feet, who can make quick adjustments, and who can read the radar quickly, not wait for a long time. And that is why Wall Street used to do corrections every quarter, and now they're having to do it every day. So when was the last time that you looked at your church and all the functions of the church and said, what corrections do we need to make where, and make them quickly and not attach themselves to a person? Because as soon as you're attached to a person, you're going to complicate the entire picture. There's so many more, but I'll give you one more. Church growth now has to grow from the inside out, not from the outside in. That means for you to grow your church, you got to grow your core. Till now, church growth has been dependent on growing the congregation. And what I'm here to suggest to you is if you can grow your core of your church, the leadership of your church, the rest of it will grow organically. So a couple things under that, and then, Bishop, I'm getting ready to throw this at you. If you look at your church and you got 25, what you consider core leaders, staff, non-staff, volunteer, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter the designation, you got 25 what you would consider core leaders. Now, how do you define core? Let me tell you how you define core. If you were to say the Lord is leading me to leave my place and go to Seattle in person, go to Seattle, I'm making the Seattle up, go to Seattle and start a church. Question is, who all from your present church would you take with you? That's how you get this list started. And my guess is you're going to see many people who are with you right now that you would not take with you. So my part B of the question is, why are they with you right now? But beyond that, if you have a core of 25, and this is February of 2009, if you can grow the 25 to 45 by December, you're going to see organic growth all over your church. Because now you're concentrating on where the real growth potential comes from. The real growth potential does not come from the Sunday morning experience. The real growth potential comes with what happens Monday through Saturday with the core of your group. And so what happens is we end up preaching to the congregation, to the masses, to the crowds, and do not remember to pick up who is our core. If you grow your core in depth and in numbers, the church will grow of its own. Not only that, when you grow the core, you're growing leaders, and you're raising the ceiling on everything. You're raising the bar on everything. So a question for you going forward from here is, when you re-church, who are you paying the most attention to? And how are you growing the inside core? How much of your time is given to the people who are really with you? You know, everyone's for you. There's a big difference between people who are for you and people who are with you. I'm talking people who are with you. People who have been with you, people who are going with you, new people who are coming in who are not even on radar right now. And how do you recruit them? Here are the three things you do. You discover, you develop, and you deploy. So when you discover them, they're on my radar. You develop them, and you do what Jesus did. You spend time with them, and you bring them up, and you deploy them into meaningful responsibilities. Not a job, but responsibilities. So as we go forward into re-church, it is not just doing things differently, but it's thinking differently. Because if we think differently, we will do differently. So to think differently, you've got to hang around people who think different from you. See, if you hang around around the same people who think the same way with you, it's what I call inbreeding. You know, sooner or later, inbreeding is going to create idiots. So we're all going to come together. We all think the same thing. Nobody's challenging us. Nobody's thinking it differently. Everybody's on the same page. And when you get on the same page, somebody needs to push you off the page. And so you've got to ask yourself, how do I widen my circles of influence? How do I widen my circles? Who is not in my circle that I need to associate with? Who am I not reading? Who am I not associating with? Who can bring me great insight into my world? For example, in a little bit, you're going to hear from Pastor Craig Rochelle, Oklahoma City. I love this man. Every time I'm with him, He makes me think. He makes me think differently. When I'm with Bishop Long, he's always got these big rocks that he drops in the pond. And 10 days later, the ripples are still going on. He makes me think. Who in your circles challenges your thinking? Not just something that you can agree with. Who in your circles challenges your thinking? So the person who has brought us all together so that we'll think differently is Bishop Eddie Long. So will you give it up for our friend, our bishop, our brother, our mentor, our guide, Bishop Eddie Long.